Welcome to Dead Headspace. I am your host, Patrick R. McDonough, joined always by my co-host, Brennan LaFaro. Say hi, Brennan.
Hello, everybody.
Today, we are joined back with a guy. He's too many episodes in at this point. So, Ronald Kelly, long-time listeners know him from so many episodes. But Ronald Kelly, say hello, sir.
Howdy, y'all.
And we've covered a lot of your books. We're going to cover mainly your memoir today. But before we do that, something very important. Me and Brennan consider this podcast we basically document this era of horror, and we would be remiss to not mention, since it just went public today, September 6, 2022, that sadly, we say this with a heavy heart, that Peter Straub passed away 2 days ago. It's broken hip, I believe, and he passed away in Manhattan at the age of 79. Truly devastating. His shadow probably loom forever over some part of literature. Brennan, Ron, I want to hear what you guys have to say about Peter. I'll start with you, Ron.
Well, when I started reading horror, back in the mid 70s to into the 80s, there was only four really major horror writers. There was Stephen King, there was Dean Koontz, there was Anne Rice, and there's Peter Straub. So, you being hungry for out of the classics and starting to read contemporary horror and everything, Peter Straub was. I really was ravenous for Peter Straub's work. I started with Ghost Story, and I think I read the Talisman. The one he did with King, and Shadowlands, and I actually listened to Coco on the audio books. I started listening to some of the audio books like Barker's Hellbound Heart, and I listened to Coco on audiobook. I need to actually go back and read it as a book, because I guess at that point I was more of a reader than a listener, and now I really enjoy audiobooks, but back then it was kind of hard for me to kind of digest, and get the imagination going with narration like that. But Peter Straub was way up there for me. This has just broken my heart hearing this. It's I have very fond memory. I wish I could have met him. I never did get a chance to meet the man, but I heard he was a very gracious and kind man, and you had him on your show, and I really enjoyed that interview. That was that's a lasting piece of history, that interview you had with him. So I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, thanks, man. To my knowledge, I've looked. I'm pretty sure it's the last interview that he's ever done. He's generally a nice guy, and he signed the Blue Rose trilogy for me, just to tell everyone kind of how kind he was. I'm not the only one he's done that for. He answered emails to whoever would reach out. He's just a nice guy, real nice guy. And I just noticed behind Brennan is, oh man, the Talisman. Is that first edition?
That's not the Talisman.
The white cover? What is that one?
That is Interior Darkness. I've got Ghosts, a couple of versions of Ghost Story up there, Floating Dragon, Mystery, The Throat, and Lost Boy, Lost Girl.
Oh, The Throat. Okay, I got you.
Yep.
For me, Coco was a book that, and I got to say, because Ron's on the show, Fair is one of my favorite books. I mean, I love it. But Coco is its own category for me, because it just did something very... It stirred this thing in me that was a mix of, wow, I didn't know you could do that in a book. And on top of that, and I'm not going to go into details, I'll ramble on, but basically the passing of my grandfather that occurred many years before that interview, Peter's Coco got my interest into the Korean War. Coco has nothing to do with the Korean War, but something in my weird brain just clicked. And it's been a year so far since I've been diving into that and his past. And I'm connecting with my grandfather that's been dead for 10 years now. So that's partially why I have so much love for the guy. And on top of that, he writes with a poetic hand that is really unmatched. It's like, Ron, you got your own voice. Joe Lansdale does, King does. And Peter's got this. His style to me is like brutal poetry. And that's the best way I can put it. Brandon, what's he mean to you, man?
I think my no, I know that my first introduction was The Talisman, co-written with King, and then Black House. From there, moved on to Ghost Story and Coco, and it was just such an unbelievable thrill. And you talked about, or Ron talked about, just how generous he was with his time, with his outreach, and with his praise for newer writers is something that I've seen a lot going around today. It seems to be a theme. And the fact that we were able to connect with Peter Straub, like via Twitter, just throwing a post out there and said, Peter, we would love to have you on. And somehow the gears turned in such a way that worked out, is now that I'm seeing people posting memories so much more indicative of him than I realized at the time. And for all of those things to line up to allow him to come on and talk with us. And he was very generous with his time. This is, I love our show, but this is not a show that Peter Straub had to do.
No,
this is not something. This is not something that Peter Straub had to do. And he graciously answered every question we threw at him. And it was a really lovely experience. And I shared this online. I was teaching a class this afternoon, and I pulled out my phone to check the time. And I had a text from Patrick saying that it was, kind of just released that Peter had passed away. And I just felt the world spin. And I don't know that I would have seen that coming. Like, yes, he was an incredible writer, absolute crucial to the history of horror and kind of the literary side of it, and giving it almost this, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but basically legitimizing it, if you like throwing that out there, if it needs that legitimization, but allowing people who might otherwise turn their nose up at the genre to say, ooh, this is what you can do with it. And like Ron said, my heart's broken. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I met Peter for 90 minutes. And I've read like 5 or 6 of his books, and I feel like I lost a friend. And I think there's a lot of people out there who, whether they met him once or whether they just corresponded with him or whether they just knew him through his writing, are probably feeling a little bit like that today.
Yeah. Unless you guys have anything else to say, I'd like to transition us to Ron. His focusing on Ron. Okay. Ron, do you have anything else you want to say?
I just hope that the newer writers, newer readers realize just, what we've lost. I mean, this man was very important to this genre. He was there at a point where horror, practically came back. From just being, ghost stories and maybe Lovecraft and everything on the bookshelves, and then King and him and Rice, they made horror popular again. So, I've seen a lot of very respectful, very, post on social media today, and it's very encouraging that he'll live on in his books. We've got them forever. So, but it's just sad that the man who wrote those books is no longer, and So I just hope everybody realizes, that Peter Straub was a genuine treasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is one more thing I'd love to throw out.
Go for
his
it.
daughter, Emma,
Yes.
which her Twitter handle is at Emma Straub, EMMASTRAUB. She put up this big multi-tier post, complete with lots of pictures, just kind of throwing a few thoughts into the ether about, what a wonderful guy her dad was. And if you haven't seen that and you have a couple minutes, check it out. It's well worth scoping.
Sure. Yeah. I read that about an hour ago. It's excellent. We are going to jump to Ronald Kelly, his memoir. This is the greatest cover in the world, man.
It is.
That's so cool. Justin T. Kuntz, a genius. He's a genius in the world of illustration, painting. He's just the way he blends those colors. It's magnificent. Follow my lead. This will make sense in a second, Ron. All right. Can you guys hear me still?
Yes.
All right. Bear with me. It's the first time I've done this on the show. So tell me if you can see.
Yes, we can see your background. Look, there's you getting strangled by your wife.
Can you see this?
Typical Friday night.
Can you see this?
Yes.
What is it?
It is a blank screen with your mouse flying around it and about to hit a play button.
All right, let's listen.
I wanted to say hello to Ron. We've been around a long time. I think you and I are about the same age, which means that we're old guys. But what I wanted to say too is that what I've liked is the fact that you've stuck to it. I know you had a period where publisher wasn't doing so well and you had to move on for a while, but you came back. And from the things I've seen, you're doing better now than you were then, and you were good then. And we're a couple of country boys and a couple of blue collar guys, so I feel a connection to you there, and I'm excited to read this memoir. And so I wish you luck and keep writing.
Hi, Ron. I've been a fan of your work since my sister bought me a copy of Fear for Christmas one year, back in the good old-fashioned days when paperback horror novels were at your grocery store right up by the register as an impulse purchase, like candy or gum. I was a huge fan, and it's great to see you back in the game, even if it's a cruel and brutal game. So, congratulations on all your recent success, and best of luck with your new memoir. It's awesome.
Hey, Ron, man. I'll keep it short and sweet because I think you know what you mean to me. I wouldn't be the writer I am if it weren't for you. You're one of my biggest inspirations, and I'm so proud to call you my friend. So, hey, keep it short and sweet, and just tell you, let's do this thing, because people are going to dig it.
Hi, Ron. I am so happy to have met you at Scares That Cares last summer, and I cannot thank you enough for the amazing foreword that you wrote for A Bouquet of Viscera. You are one of my favorite people. I adore you, and congratulations.
Sorry, I forgot one thing. Sorry. I forgot it again. Sorry.
Congratulations on your memoir.
Hey, Ron, it's Rich Chismar. I just wanted to say congratulations on one hell of a career that is still going, both barrels blazing, better than ever. We both came around about the same time back in the late 80s, and I can't tell you how inspiring it is that you're still here. And like I said, doing better than ever. And, I love your work. You're one of the all-time original storytellers, and I just want to thank you and wish you well.
In his memoir, Southern Fried and Horrified, Ronald Kelly says that he is a straight-shooting, honest type of fella, and I agree. I am honored to know Ron. I am honored to be able to read his writing. The horror community is so much more rich and wonderful because of your presence, and we love you, Ron.
Hi, Ronald. I just wanted to tell you how much we love you, how much we love working with you, and your Southern Fried Horror always makes me feel right at home. I look forward to working with you in the future and look forward to all the good things you have coming in the future. Take care.
Hey there. I just wanted to drop in to leave a note that I think it's absolutely incredible that whether a reader is having a good day or a bad day, picking up one of Ronald Kelly's books is sure to make it better. The time Ron takes to personalize every single book that he sends out that are directly ordered through him is also absolutely incredible. I have my little collection over my shoulder of Ron's books growing by the day, and each one of those is signed and personalized by Ron, and he also puts in amazing doodles. So if you haven't ordered a book directly from him, highly recommend jumping in and doing so. Thank you, Ron, just for being you and for publishing each of your amazing works.
Hey guys, horror author Jeremy McGargy here. Wanted to give a really quick shout out to pioneer in the industry, legendary figure. His body of work really speaks for itself, Ronald Kelly. Last year at Scares That Care, I briefly got to sit in on one of Ronald's panels, and it was a fantastic experience, just like sitting under the learning tree. And he really inspires lots of new, hungry horror authors that are out in that world and exploring the genre today. So here's to you, Ron.
Hey, Ron, congrats on the release of your memoir. You're a great writer and an amazing person. And hopefully this will bring fresh blood in, new bodies to discover your wickedly, wonderfully dark words. Congrats.
Ron's a great guy. Having edited a lot of his work, just a super talented writer. You know, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, if so, Ron is wielding a very, like the Excalibur of pens. Great writer, great guy, and an incredible signer. I mean, if you see the inside of his book, sorry for the dogs. If you see the inside of his signed books, they're amazing.
Hi, Ron. Congratulations on the release of your awesome new memoir.
Hold on, it's okay. It's not really a talking skull. It's your friend Lynn Hansen,
Also wishing the same thing as the talking skull, though. Congratulations on the release of your awesome new memoir. Love you, Guy. Bye.
Hello everyone, Ross here from the UK. I am just coming on here because you guys asked me to speak some words. So Ron, thank you for all you've done, all the books you've written, all the scares you've given. Fear remains for me one of those books that truly unnerved me. I just loved everything about it. I listened to the audio for that book and it just blew me out of the water. Such a gripping book. Story, just everything about it. You know, it was fully immersive. And yeah, man, just I appreciate everything you've done, everything you do, everything you've still got coming. And yeah, just, you know, truly you are a great in the genre. And you deserve the very best, and you deserve this kind of resurgence that's happened recently. And yeah, just from me as a fan, as a writer, you mean the world, and you have reached far and wide. And yeah, just keep on doing your thing, man. Southern Fried and Horrified all the way.
Hi Ron, Mercedes here. You are a sweet, compassionate, good man. You're very talented. You just light up the world. I'm so glad to know you.
Hey, Robert Essig here. Hey, I've been a fan of Ronald Kelly for years. I remember finding his books at the used bookstores years ago, and then and he came back and kept writing more books, just knocking it out of the park. I mean, he's making the rest of us look like we're standing still. So here's to you, Ronald Kelly. Cheers!
Hey, Ron. Hello from Texas. Congratulations on Southern Fried and Horrified. You know I love it. Thanks for everything you are and do in the community. Thanks for all your support for so many of us. And most of all, thanks for being a terrific friend. Here's to your best yet to come. Congratulations. Love to you.
Hey, it's Sonora, and I just want to tell you how much I value both your work and our friendship. It's meant so much to me as a new author, especially compared to how long you've been on the scene, and every year of that has been incredible. I've really loved getting to know your work over the past few years. I've greatly enjoyed the short story collections I've read. I look forward to reading even more of your back catalog and also whatever comes next. Your stories are the perfect literary embodiment of Tales from the Crypt, which is fitting considering how a lot of your new short story collections have a similar comic book cover to those old anthologies. And it's also just meant so much how you always have a kind word to say, and how when we've spoken to each other, it's just always been so cordial and kind. And like I said before, I really value our friendship. And I look forward to it continuing onward. So, yes, that's it. You're great. You're the best. You're awesome. And I'll be seeing you around. Bye.
Ron Kelly, the man, the myth, the legend. As a writer, a natural-born storyteller, gifted, incredibly unique. And as a human, kind, encouraging, humble. Ron, so many of us have looked up to you for a long time, and I, for one, am incredibly excited to read your new memoir, Southern Fried and Horrified. Congratulations on it. I wish it and you all the best.
Hey Ron, we just want to say thank you so much for all your kindness and support and friendship over these years. You've been an inspiration to us, and you're the coolest Jedi Master. Thanks, cuz.
Ronald Kelly, a great guy, true friend, and an even better writer. Love working with him over the last 10 years, over 20 books together. Keep them coming.
Hello, Ron. Please forgive the hat head, because I've been wearing my Cubs hat all day. But I just want to say thank you for being such an inspiration to me. I've been reading your stuff for a long time. And even though what you write is, it's all unique, it's all original, and your voice is unlike anybody else's, I think it's that facet. I think of a book like Undertaker's Moon, and nobody else could have written that. Certainly couldn't have written it the way that you did. And I think that it's the distinctness of your voice. I think it's the resonance of it, the power of it, that even though my own voice is very different from your voice, I think the clarity of your voice, the power of your voice, the way that you're able to kind of put the reader around a campfire and tell them to close in a little bit because you've got a great story to tell them. I feel like that style of storytelling, there's something really elemental about it. And then the strength of your voice, it just grabs me and won't let me go. And that inspires me to want to write my own stories and to try to do in my own way what you're able to do. And as long as I've been reading your work, you've been inspiring me. And I'm so grateful for your work, how genuine you are, how approachable, how humble, yet insanely skilled and talented. I'm just so grateful to call you a friend, and I'm so happy to be a reader of your work and to be influenced by you. So that's it. Sorry for being long-winded. Thank you, Ron. Peace. See you soon.
Hey, what's up, Ron? It's your old pal Brian Keene here. I guess we have reached the age where people record these tribute videos to us. But you're deserving of it, my friend. I've told you this privately, but you were an inspiration, not just to me, but to many of us. I discovered you as a fan, and all these years and decades later, I'm proud, humbled, and honored to include you as a friend, not just as a fan, but now as a friend and as a mentor, as a guide. You've had a fantastic career, and here's to many more years as such. Love you, brother. See you soon.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
That is the that is, you know, we call it a tribute, but it's tantamount to the effect that you've had on this genre, and it doesn't seem like we can have you on for an episode without talking about your impact on newer horror writers. But man, when we put them all in one place, and that's just a taste of it. You know, if we decided that we needed to make that video an hour, we could have dug up enough people to make that an hour, man. Their words all ring very, very true, very authentic, and it's so cool to watch them all in one place. It really is.
I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed here. That was beautiful. You know, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Well, I won't make you talk too much right now. I do want to read one more of these, because originally there were going to be 3 of us. It was going to be me, Patrick, and we invited Vivian Casley to come on and hang out. Another example of a newer horror writer who you've had a really nice impact on. Unfortunately, Vivian is not feeling well. She could not be here with us tonight, but she wrote up something and asked that I read it. So here we go. I haven't known Ron as long as some others, and now that I do, I sure wish I had gotten to know him sooner. It was in the anthology Chew on This, edited by Robert Essig and put out by Bloodbound Books, where I read his short story, Grandma's Favorite Recipe, that I was like, I really dig this story. And not too soon after that, I decided to join Twitter, like a modern writer is supposed to do. I started following Ron, and eventually he started following me, which left me a bit starstruck. Then, when I found out he'd be in Midnight Beyond the Stars anthology, I was like, hot diggity dog, I got to try to be in that too. And so it goes. I got in and shared another table of contents with the great old Ron. He personally congratulated me, and we began to forge a friendship. Since then, I have gotten to read a few of his collections, and most recently his outstanding memoir, which I've read twice already because it's that good. I have yet to get my hands on Fear, his magnum opus, as he puts it, but I will. Everything Ron writes is exactly the type of horror story I am looking to read. His plots, his characterization, and his battles between good and evil are the peanut butter to my strawberry jam. And I have no idea why none of his creepy tales have been adapted to the screen yet, especially for Creepshow on Shudder. They would be perfect. I know Ron says his writing is like Crown and Cola with a moon pie, and those things are freaking delicious. But to me, Ron's writing is the lobster and filet mignon too. On a more personal note, Ron once reached out to me during a time I was struggling. He told me it was okay that I wrote mostly short fiction and said short fiction was his bread and butter. And honestly, I don't think he knows how much that helped me during a time when someone else in the writing community told me short fiction was a waste of my time and would get me nowhere. Ron has also reached out and offered to help me with a collection of my own, and that floored me. He 100% did not have to do that. But he is that kind of human, selfless, kind, empathetic, and an all-around great man. In my opinion, that's why he's such a great writer, because it takes all of those things to be able to write believable characters like Ron's. Lastly, I wish I could have fed all this stuff to Ron tonight, but I have COVID again, and this time it completely laid both my husband and I out. I just want Ron to know that I think the world of him, and that I believe we were destined to be friends. And maybe this is kind of weird, but just like his mama, I too have the second sight. It runs in my family. I think I knew we'd be friends, Ron. It was just a gut feeling as soon as I read one of your stories. I am so glad we connected over social media, and I'm also happy to have gotten to know Patrick and Brennan, two of the kindest, funniest writers/humans I have had the pleasure of meeting. Between all of you, I feel so much more confident in my endeavors and know that I have gained true friends. Oh, and also we get to share another table of contents in Hot Iron and Cold Blood, which makes me very rootin' tootin' happy. I wish Ron all the success in the world with everything he is doing and will continue to do. You said you sold your original hat in a yard sale, Ron, but I sure am glad you decided to find another one. Rattlesnake skin and all, and start anew. The world would have been a boring place without your stories. Until next time, yeehaw and yippee-ki-yay, mother cluckers. Vivian.
I love her.
I do too. She's a special lady. so hate that she got slammed with this one more. I mean, I don't know. He's had it multiple times, I believe. So
yep.
Louis, I'll tell you what, I watched that montage a few times because I edited it and I didn't choke up anytime. And then I started to a few times. I think it's because they feel the same way that me, Brennan, and Vivian do, which is just you're everything that a lot of people online pretend to be. And it's not to sound sadistic or poo-pooing everyone else, but the bottom line is you're a straight shooter, just like Cena said, and you write some creepy tales. And it's kind of like Tom Savini. I've heard that he is such a sweet person, yet he makes some of the darkest stuff. That's like you. And why don't you have something on Creep Show? That I haven't even thought of that. That is very, very astute. I mean, Scow, Skip, Mallerman, to name a few. They've had them, Keith Lansdale and I think Joe. Yeah, Joe and Keith and Casey, actually. Yeah, man. So now that you can talk, what'd you think of that montage? I gotta know.
I was just stunned. You know, a lot of people I didn't expect to see. You know, it was great. You know, I consider all of them friends. You know, I mean, I've interacted with every one of them. You know, at one time or another. You know, like with Joe and Brian. I mean, and Rich. I mean, you know, quite a bit in different times of my life. You know, and it was just wonderful. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's our way of saying, showing you how much. It's one thing to see it in text; it's another to see their face and to feel their love and adoration towards you with the expression and their body, you know, their body language. Let's dive into your memoir. I know why. Brennan knows why. But why did you start this? What was the catalyst?
Just, you know, I thought I had a story to tell. I've been in this industry for like 36 years. You know, I've been writing for 36 years, and I've had my ups and downs. Been through heaven and hell, and learned a few things, and you know, made a whole lot of mistakes, and I just thought, you know, maybe folks might be interested in my story. Maybe they, maybe I had a little advice to give them that might help them along the way. Put some writing tools in their toolbox, you know, next to their little jar of nipples. But I went on Twitter and I said, would anybody like to read this kind of book? And Brian King said, yes. And so Brian says yes, then he's going to get it, you know? So
yeah, it's worth a few yeses.
So, you know, I wrote a few chapters, you know, just to kind of experiment with it, and they went pretty smooth. You know, it was just like sitting back and, you know, just, you know, remembering things. You know, it's funny how much I remember when I was really little. You know, I can remember, like in my chapter title 4, when I was 4 years old. I mean, that was a very important year in my life because, you know, several things happened during that time. I got my left arm severely burnt, and that pretty much changed the dynamic of my personality for a long time in grade school and high school, because it made me feel like I was a little more inferior than everybody else. You know, a lot of people see the scars on my arm, and it was like they were looking at someone with leprosy, you know, and it made me feel like an outsider a lot of times.
Holy shit. Really? I never knew.
Yeah, I mean, I had kids that didn't want to get near me because they thought they were going to catch it, you know, and this was like first, second, third grade, you know, your formative years, when you're very, very impacted by, you know, the way people treat you and accept you, and at that time, you know, as a child, the scar wrapped all the way around my arm. You know, right now it's just on my bicep, but as a small child, it wrapped all the way around to the back of my arm and everything. But yeah, that was one thing. And then let's see, I learned to read at the age of 4. Learned to write my alphabets and everything. My mother was a very progressive minded lady as far as teaching me skills early, as far as math and reading and writing, and by the time I got to kindergarten, I was like a second grader as far as writing my alphabets and doing pretty simple math problems and stuff like that. And the first book I ever read was Green Eggs and Ham. That's the first book I ever read all the way through by myself. But and let's say there was the big debate between my mother and my grandmother over over a religion that went on for like 2.5 hours or 3 hours, and I was hiding behind the couch, scared to death, thinking that God was going to rain fire and brimstone on our heads at any moment. Me and my Gumby and Pokey back there in the shadows and all that. And Grandpa and Daddy standing on the front porch, letting it all blow over, and then there was, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which, I vaguely remember that, but I do remember the wagon with the flag draped casket on it. I remember how everybody around me reacted. It was a very sad November and December in the country, and for a child who's 4 years old, that was very impactful. And so just things like that made me realize that things that had happened in my life were almost like little stories in themselves, and so I thought maybe people would be would enjoy reading it and maybe relate. And I've had so many people say that their early childhoods, their monster loving childhoods, was very close to how mine were. Of course, there was I grew up on the Universal Monsters and Famous Monsters magazine and the Monster Models, and other horror writers grew up with Jason and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger, but it was still the same focus on monsters, on horror. That's what eventually molded us into what we want to do. I mean, it's just seeps into your physical being, and into your psyche, and you just when, like I've told people before, when I stopped writing, when Zebra shut down, I stopped writing. I tried to write in different genres and I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm a horror writer. I mean, I'm hardwired that way, so but yeah, I mean, I did a few sample chapters, and I went to Jared and said, would you consider doing this book? And he said, let me read some chapters, and he did, and he said, yeah, let's do this thing. And so I sat down and wrote the rest of it, and the end product was much more than I thought it would be, and I'm just very proud that it turned out the way it did.
Very
Excellent.
cool.
Yeah, Brennan, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I mean, one of my favorite parts of writing, and I'm talking fiction specific, is discovering things about my character while I'm writing their story. So what, if anything, did you learn about yourself recounting these events and formative experiences?
I guess I've learned that despite all the problems I went through, the trying to get published, having the rug pulled out from under me, different points in my career, that it all culminated into, something that, I would never give up. I would never go back and redo it over in a different way, because it's just the man I am right now. That's who came out at the end, and you know, I, I guess that's what I got out of it, and maybe I saw that maybe, there was times during my career after Zebra shut down that I thought I was a failure. I thought, well, I tried to do my best and I failed, and now looking back, I can see maybe I wasn't such a failure after all. Maybe I did something important to influence, some really talented, great people, and I mean, it's a humbling experience to come to that realization. And I'm just glad that this memoir has gotten the reception that it has, because I was afraid maybe people thought, well, who are you to write a book like this, and think you're so important that you can write a book about your life. But when I wrote it, it was almost like storytelling to me. I mean, I was just telling my story, and so that's the way that's the way I feel about it.
That's interesting that you still have that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. I mean, I think that from time to time, like when I wrote the Buzzard Zone and it practically fell on its face, I was ready to quit. I thought, well, they've had enough of Ron Kelly. Nobody's buying this book. And I told Joyce, my wife, I said, I think I'm going to give it up again. And she said, you better not. After all this coming back and everything. And so, for a few months I did short stories, and I was trying to get some traction in today's horror genre and all that. And then Kim McKinley put out Essential Six stuff, and it turned everything around, and that, and Nicholas Gray started doing videos and stuff about fear, and got a whole lot of people interested in fear all over again. And that fear was a book I wrote, and for a long time I didn't think it was any more important than any of my other books, and then so many people started telling me that it had some kind of emotional impact on them, and so I began to realize that maybe what I'd done, maybe these little old Zebra books I'd written were a little better than I thought they were at the time.
Now, obviously, a big part in that is, like you talked about, the collapse of Zebra and just the impact, the mental and, I guess you could say fiscal impact it had on your career. And that's not a topic you've ever shied away from. I mean, we've talked just on this show, we've probably talked about it 4 times, and in your various interviews on panels. And I think that, not to keep heaping praise on you, but I really think that story, spreading it far and wide, when we're seeing, presses shut down and leave books homeless, and obviously I'm talking, from a very personal place here, that story is invaluable. It's incredibly helpful to just understand that, unfortunately, it's almost a rite of passage in this industry, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that, it might seem like the sky is falling and all is lost, but there is, hope when that happens. as long as you are still willing to put that work in. So, on behalf of myself and, all the other authors who through various presses that have kind of collapsed without warning, I mean, thank you. I mean, because it's just, you cannot, you can't understand till it happens to you just how valuable that kind of, not moral tale, but that information, hey, I've been here. I understand how shitty you feel right now. And I understand it feels like your book is in the dumpster, but it'll be fine. Keep putting in the work. It'll be fine. The other thing I wanted to touch on is I love the way you talked about how, writing your life story, you treated it like a storyteller. And one thing Patrick and I talked about when we were reading this back in like February or whatever, was talking about how we're reading stories that we've heard you tell 2-3 times. We know these stories. We know where they're going. And
You've said them to us.
They're told with such an enthralling voice that I'm sucked in. One that really stands out to me is you talked about, I'm going to butcher it, I'm so sorry, but you talked about Valentine's Day when you were younger.
Yes, that's my favorite story too.
And the way that you tell it in your book, even though I've heard you talk about that story at least twice before I read the book, it just sucks me in. It draws in my reader's heart. It plays on my emotions. And it really is, I'm hearing your life story, but I'm hearing it in front of a campfire. There's no question there, but I'm just going to throw it to Patrick for a real question.
Why does Brennan need me to save him so often? No, in all seriousness, the part where we go, I'm going to cheat by looking at the book because I forgot the exact phrase in Grits and Bits. Is that it? Yeah, Grits and Bits. I love how you really cashed in. I guess that's not a great expression, but whatever. On the Southern Fried and Horrified bit. Not every writer has that. Not every writer has the ability to, or whatever, to kind of say, this is my theme, this is my brand. And everyone it's fun to say. A lot of people love it. It doesn't steal anything away from other Southern horror writers. How do you feel about the reception of this book so far, especially how it just came out today, but there's been plenty of eyes on it, plenty of hands on it, and please feel free to talk about your signing 2 days ago.
It's been phenomenal. I mean, I sent copies, digital copies out to a lot of fellow writers that, writers, are like different. I mean, we're all horror writers, but, there's certain horror writers that are like me. There's certain that's like extreme horror, quiet horror, and all that. All of the ones I sent this book to were very receptive to it, seemed to love it. And I was just surprised by, some of their comments and the blurbs. I mean, I've had so many wonderful blurbs from these writers that I love and cherish, like Cena and Jonathan Jantz and Jeff Strand and Tim Wagner, and it's just been wonderful, so I've lost my train of thought.
That's all right, man. Like, you got a lot going on because it seems like a whirlwind of so many things colliding into your brain, I guess, because
I mean, I'd say the last year has been great. It's like been a runaway train for me. It's so many things have happened, so many books. I mean, I put out a lot of books this year, and
how many?
Let's see. I say you put me on the spot there. I would say at least had 5 or 6 this year. You know,
Damn.
some have, you know, been re-releases like The Darken and After the Burn, you know, and Hindsight was re-released, which, you know, that's one of my goals in the next few years is to put all the Zebra books out in paperback because
That'd be cool.
you know, they've been available in ebook for years and some of them in audiobook, but you know, people like to have something on their shelf, you know, especially if they get it from me and it has some artwork.
Any plans for them with Valancourt?
What's that?
Valancourt, because they do the classic books. So I was wondering if there's any plans.
Not really. I would rather do them myself, you know. You know, I've seen them put out the paperbacks from Hell books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't choose one of my books, you know, that I would want them to do because I like to, you know, I've been putting them out through Crossroads Press and they do a wonderful job, beautiful books. And so I'm just going to continue that way.
That makes sense.
And you was asking about the book launch we had.
Yes.
Last Saturday was wonderful. We had it in a old restored train depot building.
That's really cool.
Tennessee, and you go in there and you smell that like tar wood. You know, it's got this smell to it, almost like coal soot and everything. It's a very authentic. I guess from years and years of, you know, being around old trains and stuff like that. So we had special guests. We had Lynn Hanson. She brought a lot of her art and everything, and because this train depot is one of the stipulations for using this as an event is to be an art show. So I invited Lynn, and then I brought a lot of my artwork and put them on the walls, and that was kind of that's kind of fun gathering all that to put up on the walls and everything because, you know, I've been an artist for years but never really shown my art, you know, until just recently in some of my books and stuff. So we had a little art show and we had Jeff Strand. You know, he did a signing, and Bridget Nielsen was with him, and she signed her book, Bouquet of Viscera. And we had my audio book narrator, J. Rodney Turner, came and read a couple of selections, one from Deadeye 2, and he read Mr. Glowbones, which he just gave everybody the chills. Yeah, there's old Glowbones back there.
He's got such an incredible voice, man.
He does, yeah. Well, just, you know, he walks into a room and he walked into the depot in another part of the room, and Lynn said, I hear an audiobook narrator, because he has this big rumbling, deep Southern voice, you know, and. You know, he read Deadeye, and when he did Deadeye and Job, it just put shivers down my spine. Because, you know, Job has a part of Roscoe in him, you know, from Fear.
Yep.
He has that same spirit, you know. So I was hearing a little bit of Roscoe and a whole lot of Job, and Deadeye was just just hilarious. I mean, it was He's working on the first audiobook, which is actually going to be book 1 and 2 of Deadeye in one audiobook. So I guess the next audiobook could be 3 and 4, and then maybe number 5 will be the last one. Well, number 5 is going to be the most crucial and probably the wildest Deadeye book that I write. So
Deadeye. How do I do this for people watching? It's right there.
Yeah. Book 2 should be out later this year. We're waiting for Alex to finish the cover, and then we've got all the editing's been done and everything. So maybe it won't be too much longer until we'll have that out. But at the book signing, we had a huge crowd of fans drove all the way from like Atlanta and Birmingham, Alabama, and Chattanooga and Knoxville. You know, people that I didn't even know, or people that I'd known on social media, but I'd never met before. You know, so I mean, it was a thrill just to somebody come up and say, "Hey, I'm so and so," and I'd known them for years. You know,
It's really cool when it's outside of your inner circle too.
yeah. It is a lot of the books of horror crowd from Facebook showed up, and that was really neat. And I had an old friend, high school buddy, who was in my creative writing class in my senior year of high school. Scott McGill came to see me. We hadn't seen each other in 45 years. And oh man, it's just, it was so good to see him and spend time with him. And I'll be going down to around, where we grew up, and we're gonna have a good meal together and spend some time together. It was just so good to see him after all these years.
Was he the big guy in overalls?
Yeah, that was him.
He is a big bastard, man.
And it was really nice of him on Facebook to share this photo of you.
Oh, yes.
Look at that hair. I wish I still did.
Your bow tie is almost as big as your face. It's wider than your face, man. Look at that.
Hey, man, that was the 70s.
Totally acceptable.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
No, that all sounds so cool. And I'm glad it went off for you and you had all that interest in it. You had a billboard with your book cover on it. I mean, it's just, if I'm you, like that would be the launch I want. All these people have been reading the book for months and just have so many kind things to say about it. The in-person event to really kick it off. I mean, it sounds like you couldn't be happier with that. I mean, just everything's coming up, Ron. I love it.
It's been a fun ride so far. It's not over yet, so I'm so happy with how everything's going. Usually when you have a book, your book comes up, the day it comes out, then you think, well, it's going to go downhill from there. It's a big day, but I can't do that. I think it's, I've got, I've been hitting the podcast circuit real strong, doing some really good interviews and podcasts, especially this, this is what got, how I was when I first got on your podcast. I was tripping over my tongue every few minutes. So, I mean, this,
you're a pro now, though.
I'm not as, goofy as I used to be, but
it takes time to get used to. And this is officially the official podcast of Ronald Kelly.
Yep.
And I just, I did This Is Horror with Michael and Bob Pastorella and the other night, and that was on my bucket list of podcasts to do. And
it was hilarious. I got a text from you, and then I got a text from Mike, pretty much like whatever is relevant time to whenever you text me, his in Japan. And I just thought it was really funny because like you both were pumped, I was pumped, and I was like, this is cool. It's like my friend over here is becoming friends with this guy over here. Let's all hang out. By the way, the book, reiterating this, it's hard to know which way I'm pointing. Sick Stuff, The Essential Sick Stuff is the first book that Brennan and I ever read of Ron's. That is because of Ken McKinley. He used to run Silver Shamrock Publishing. Are we still talking about the book sign, or can I go into something that ties us together?
No, go ahead.
So, however you guys want to word it, obviously, this isn't a show that covers any stupid drama within a small community that only that community gives a shit about. But the overall picture, stuff that people can learn, kind of get a heads up about for when they pursue contracts or whatever. Basically, what happened, for those that don't know, Silver Shamrock closed their doors. Ron had quite a few books with them. Brennan had some books with them. A lot of authors had books with them. I'm going to let Ron take it from here. What was your your experience with it, and whatever you're comfortable with saying? And I want to talk about this because we haven't talked about this on air maybe once, but not with you. And you had the most books with that publishing, with that press. And on top of that, this isn't the first time it's happened. So I think that it's important to cover because it might help someone not make the same mistake. If you're comfortable with that, if you want to say pass, I'll cut this part out. And Brennan, if you're comfortable with it, give us your experience after.
Well, like I've said before, I've gone through this several times before, actually 7 times before. Silver Shamrock was number 7 for me.
Shit.
So even though I've been through it, so it was a shock. It was hard, especially since I just had a new book come out, the week before. Haunt of Southern Fried Fear was, the pre-order was going strong. It was doing really good, and then this happened on a weekend. I had no idea it was taking place until I don't know if it was you told me or somebody else, and I got online and I thought, what the hell's going on? But it just snowballed real fast, and I think a lot of it was unnecessary. And Ken McKinley's a good man. He's done a whole lot for me. That's what I want to say up front. I still consider him a good friend. I think there was just some circumstances about that book he announced that triggered some wrong nerves with some people, and it kind of snowballed from there. And it was unfortunate that it happened that way. But after it happened, it was good that this community is the way it is, as far as publishers, because the majority of the writers who suffered through this, their books were placed in a relatively short period of time with other publishers. In a podcast I did a few nights ago,
Paper Cuts?
Yeah, I think it was Paper Cuts.
Brad Proctor and Jay.
Right,
what's Jay's last name?
That was a fun time, But I practically went through the Silver Shamrock roster and checked on people and told them this isn't the end. This happens, and it's not the end of the world. We need to see what we can do about getting your books back and get them out. And I actually went to a few publishers and said, maybe you should look at this writer's work. I think it'd fit in good with your publishing, house. It's a be a good fit for you and all that. So I'm not saying I did anything great or anything, but I did try to be supportive of the writers and everything, and because I've been through it before and it hurts. It's scary, and but we make through it. We make it through it, and we come out. Most of the time, we come out better than we were before, and just about like anything else.
I know that that announcement was made while AuthorCon was happening, and one of my friends was there, and he was telling me how as soon as it got announced, as soon as it started being told throughout the venue, it was like someone just muted the entire sound, that the bar was just full of authors that didn't know what the hell to do, or hopeless, hapless, whatever word you want to put in there. I mean, for the people within the community, some might get upset with this. I don't give a shit. Whoever knows me and you and Brennan knows us. So the thing that really upsets me is no matter how offensive something is, stop a minute, hold your breath, and pull your fucking tongue back in your throat. But that's not what happened. And this is just one instance of many on social media for anything. It's not just writing, where like us three know pretty much the whole story, and we're not going to go over here because that's not our business to say. But again, for people that the general audience, basically it's just, we were spectators witnessing something that was a synopsis of a book that was really bad. It came off super racist, and then people start throwing around, he's racist, he's white, fuck him, and everyone jumps on it, and no one has a chance to say, like, hey, why don't we stop and talk about who did what and figure out why, and maybe there's, give them a chance to be like, did you think this through or something? There's just an instant black and white. No, you're wrong. You're the worst person in the world. And we've talked about it a lot on the show, and I've been guilty of it. I hate that attitude. And we use phenomenal, unprecedented technology, and we just shit all over it. We waste it. We're not exchanging data. We're not exchanging hearts. We're exchanging it. I think misguided fear, insecurities, anger, and a lot of us, probably all of us, are projecting our innermost primal emotions, and it comes out really ugly. Because once you say something really bad, I've been called a racist. I've been told by some person that I've physically threatened them, sexist, everything. That really unnerved me the first time I heard it. Made me mad because it's so not my character. But once you hear the worst of the worst, you start ignoring them, and that word loses meaning. So I guess my whole rambling is that I wish that we just stopped and kind of didn't fight. Just realize we're all here most of us are here for books and like-minded folks. So that's my take as someone that was a pure spectator. Made me sad, confused. I still love Ken. And I wish that he was still publishing, but there's too much negativity and anger there for that to happen on a lot of parts. Brennan, anything that you would like to add, sir? Because you had at least 2 books.
I think that Ron said a lot of things that were on my mind, and I can't think of a single thing that Ron said that I wouldn't agree with. I think painting Ken with the devil horns and his little cartoon pitchfork is extreme, and that's probably a nice way of saying it. I think that, your points about social media and the way it operates being less than stellar, I think that's dead on. Is anything going to change about that anytime soon? No. And we've talked about it a lot on here. And also, my comments earlier about Ron being that veteran figure who shows newer authors that you're going to survive this. It feels bad now, but it's going to be okay. I'll double down on that. I just think that's so invaluable. And the one thing I would throw out there is the whole don't put all your eggs in one basket mentality. And I heard it, and I I bought into it, absolutely. But there's a difference between saying, yep, that sounds good and it makes sense, and then seeing, well, this publisher likes my work and they want more of it. And, and that's kind of where I fell into. And I don't want to say it was a bad thing. I think Silver Shamrock did a great initial release with Slattery Falls. I think they would have done, had it come to fruition, I think they would have done a great release with Noose as well. But the way things panned out, it gave me an opportunity to try other things. And, now I've got, I've got 5 books coming out with 3 different publishers, and it is, and I'm kind of pleased with that, to be able to see what I like, what, I might change the next time around, what some publishers are doing, what other publishers aren't doing, and really just use it to get my work to the widest audience I can, because we all know that, some publishers already have kind of a built-in audience separate that authors versus another one. So, I would say we can pretty much all agree that don't put all your eggs in one basket is a good strategy, but it's really, I would say it's even better than you think it is. It's beyond, hey, that's a good idea, and more into, I think it's just completely necessary. And I think that's really all I have to add on that.
Yeah, definitely. What I like about this show is that we can be real with each other, and we're not worried about, like, me and Ron talked, and Ron, tell me if you want me to cut this. I will cut this immediately after I'm done talking. I'll mark it, but if not, that's fine. Me and Ron were talking about how we had Edward Lee on, talking about Lovecraft on that episode with him. There's a lot of people that claim to like horror, and that's fine. I don't give a shit who likes what, but focus on the fact that this person was super racist and this and that, and we just talked about the man and talked about stuff that I didn't know. I know, Brennan, you didn't know about it, and they were in favor of him, and that alone would upset certain people. I don't like how it's categorized, and this is the only politics I'm bringing up, but Democrat or Republican or whatever. I don't like anyone I don't like to act like extreme in one behavior or the other, because then there's no middle ground, and everything in life is nuance. Man, Ron, I didn't think we were going down this path. I have no notes for you because I don't really write notes anymore, but it just, I appreciate.
Wait, you used to write notes?
To impress you. Yeah, I appreciate you going down this rambly path with us. I'm going to shut the hell up about this now because I don't know where it's going to go. So
that's okay. I want to steer us back. So Ron, recently you announced that the time has come. You are retiring from the day job, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording about just how fortuitous the timing is, because, it's you are in a place where you can do this, but you are also writing wise in a place where you're as productive as you have been in years and years. You're cranking it out, and now you're going to have that time. So it's coming up. November 18th, you said, is when you are done. I'm curious, what is your plan to go to become a full-time writer? Because you're not really retiring, let's face it.
No, I've had some people see me, announce my retirement, and they said, no more books. And I said, no, I'm talking about my real job. So, I had somebody the other day say, you're gonna wake up. I think it was Jason Grail on the paper cuts said, you're gonna wake up the next morning and like, what am I gonna do? No, I know what I'm gonna do. I've got, my brain is bursting with books. And I'm going to start focusing on longer works. I'm going to start writing some novels again. Fear 2 is going to be the first one, Fear Eternal. So I'm really excited about doing that. And I just hadn't had the time to do it. When you got a job where you get up at, 3:30 in the morning and go in and I mean, I get off early, in the afternoon, but you got to cut the grass. You got to go get the kids at school. You know, there's there's not much time for writing, except for on weekends and all that. So I'm gonna focus on having a daily schedule. Get up, have breakfast, and sit down and write, and not gonna kill myself doing it. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and but yeah, I'm gonna finish up Dead Eye, and I'm gonna do Fear 2, and do the After the Burn novel that I want to do, and I'd like to attend some more conventions, during the year, and there's some little conventions, in Nashville and Knoxville and Chattanooga that I've pretty much missed. That I'd like to, just set up a table on the weekend or something like that and do that. And,
That's cool.
I'll have the freedom to do that now. So and maybe down the road, maybe do a little more traveling. The Kelly family loves to go traveling. We went out west a couple of times, loved it, and I'd love to go over to Ireland or England or something like that. And my daughter Riley's been to Europe twice, and I have never been out of this country. So maybe that's something I'd like to do. Maybe somebody will option a movie or something like that and give me some traveling money.
Better, man. You know what made me really sad about Peter passing is that Coco wasn't. Look, all right, Ron, I know you're okay with me swearing, but I still feel a little weird doing it from you sometimes because you're so like kind and stuff or whatever. You don't swear. That's why it is. How the fuck has Fear not been turned into a movie yet? How the fuck has Coco not been adapted into an HBO series? It's really sad that, and it's not just because like it's my favorite book by him, but like you could tell when we talked about it with him, he lit up when he started talking about the veterans and the wall. But the fact that wasn't adapted to anything for whatever reason in his lifetime, it makes me so incredibly sad. Like I really hope Fear ends up becoming adapted into. I hope it becomes a series, because if it's a movie, it could be pretty cool. But a series, one episode could be literally an hour, which is the majority of a feature film. I just think that Fear has something really special in it. And
I'd love to see Fear, be depicted on the screen. I think, I actually had a screenwriter option Fear at one time and wrote a script, but changed it to the 1950s, and Jeb Sweeney was a teenager, and it just wasn't the same. I mean, it wasn't the book that I wrote. And
Was it set in the South?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was set in the South and everything, but this screenwriter that wanted to write the screenplay and try to pitch it to studios and everything had changed it so much that it wasn't actually Fear again. But so maybe that was a good thing it didn't. But I actually had right before COVID, I had a pretty prominent director contact me about doing Hellholla, and and it just kind of fell apart when COVID hit, and so I don't. Maybe that'll still happen, but I hadn't heard anything from him for a while. So it was a book he read a long time ago when Cemetery Dance put it out, and he thought it would make a really good dark rural horror film. So, or maybe
I agree.
So you never know. I mean, I'm not throwing my hat in yet as far as seeing my stuff on the screen. If Josh Mallerman and Tim Levin can get some good movies on
and Adam Neville.
Yeah,
Neville's got quite a few now. He's
Right.
just stacking them up, rubbing in our faces, that British bastard.
It just comes down to connecting with the right person, you know,
Sure.
and making that, you know, not, it doesn't even have to be a business connection. It might be something they read of yours, you know, that they, you know, that makes a personal connection, and they feel strongly about wanting to bring that to cinema or something, you know. And so if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm not worried about it. But you know, I'd like to see it before I'm gone if it does happen.
I'm gonna try everything I can do to get that to happen. I got enough connections in the book world. I'm gonna try to move into the movie world. Look out, Brad Pitt. I'd love to meet that guy.
That's funny because I got somebody reached out to me about buying a copy of Southern Fried and Horrified today. A lady in Canada, and she made a comment on one of my posts or something, and I reached out directly and asked her if she'd like to buy a copy, and she said it's the one that I sent you, Pat, earlier. Where she said, you know, this is her effing fangirl moment that I contacted her and all that, and then I sent that to my daughter Riley, and Riley said, "Oh my God, you're the Brad Pitt of horror."
Wow.
I said, well, hardly, but
that is
the resemblance is striking.
That's a weird coincidence. Man, I forgot what I was gonna say. Brennan, you got anything else besides before we go to like the outros?
For the most part, I mean, your book literally just released today. So for the most part, when we're talking to somebody who just released a book, it's a little bit awkward to say, what do you have coming out next? But not with you. So Ron, what do you mentioned Deadeye 2, but what else do you have on the horizon that people can look forward to?
Well, we got we're going to have the author's preferred edition of Fear.
Yes.
Fear's out of print now, and if you go look on my newsletter, on some of the photos I posted, you'll see the cover of Fear, the painting for it,
and it's a beauty.
Alex McVeigh sent me the original painting, and I displayed it at the book launch, and it just sums up the book. You know, when Kevin Whitten, you know, the well-read beard, said that Fear, you know, the zebra cover of Fear didn't do it justice, I thought I need to really look at doing another cover that gives that spirit of the book, and I think Alex nailed it.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah,
seriously.
I think it's going to be a good, and you know, this book is, I mean, it's basically the same novel, but it's going to have some bells and whistles.
Those are all his, right?
Huh?
These are all his covers.
McVeigh.
Yes.
Yeah, Alex McVeigh.
Alex McVeigh. He does 85% of my covers. Zach McCain does, you know, practically the rest of my covers. I think Justin Kuntz is the only one that has done a cover for my book. You know, a different. You know,
I'm so happy you went with him because his style is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I asked Jared up front if we could have him do that cover, and it's just been amazing, you know, working with him. We've developed a close, you know, friendship and everything, and so so Fear, the special edition of Fear is going to have a foreword by Brian Keene. He's going to.
Oh, I did not know that.
His how fear influenced him and all that, and then we're actually going to have a section of the book, you know, where people tell how fear influenced them. I believe you two are in that section, and several others. So, I mean, there's going to be several little things, and there's going to be 2 novellas in there, and it's just going to whet everybody's appetite for Fear Eternal when that comes out.
So, is there going to be a paperback for that? Because I don't know if my wallet can afford the fancy limited edition.
The one Paul's putting out is going to be the way Paul's talking, it's probably going to be a lettered edition slipcase.
Oh.
So it's gonna.
I might need to buy that.
Yeah, it'll probably go fast.
I definitely want to buy that.
But that mainly I want to get it back out in print and paperback, so everybody can enjoy it, and so that's one thing we're going to do. We got another one of those Southern Fried EC collections coming out, Tales of the Southern Fried Crypt.
Nice.
And it's going to be all swamp stories, voodoo and swamp stories. So
love it.
It's going to have my artwork in it too, like the last one, like Honk did.
Nice.
After that, we're going to put out Vault of Southern Fried Horror, which will be all serial killer maniacs and murderers stories. Now, I believe Alex McVeigh says, well, why are you going to stop there? Because he likes to do those covers. He likes to do those old retro EC covers to those books. So if he had his way, I'd do them forever, But so yeah, and I've got some ideas. Like I was telling people before, all the time I was, wasn't writing for 10 years. I would get an idea in my head and at work or something, and I'd scribble it on a little piece of paper, and I put it in this coffee can and just forgot about it. Well, I found that coffee can a while ago, and probably the day I retire, I'm going to dump that out on my desk and go through it. So you don't know how, what I'm going to find in it.
Oh man, you knew you were coming back.
Maybe
that's awesome. What about the, I don't even know if they're still for sale, but the chapbooks from Death's Head?
Yeah, they're still for sale, yeah.
Excellent.
Now, they initially printed up book 1, but now Jared just told me that he's already got book 2 and 3, so they should start shipping those bundles. And I'm going to be getting, quite a few of them, so I'll start selling some bundles too. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The first one was really nice looking chapbooks. So it was kind of good to get that have that come out around the same time that Southern Fried and Horrified did. It was kind of a nice little compliment, to the autobiography that had the little chapbook set come out.
That's all great. Let's jump to, well, I'm just going to say, where can people follow you? But on top of that, talk about your newsletter. And Brendan, talk about yours too.
Ron first.
Well, I did a newsletter way back in the early 90s. It was just like a printed newsletter that you mailed off to people. I think I'd mailed off 50 copies or something like that. You tried to do what you could back then. You didn't have the internet, and you didn't have a lot of resources. And I mean, if you wanted something printed up really nice, you go to a printer and pay through the nose. And it's not like now that you can, go to, Snapfish or some place like that and get some really nice stuff printed up, and it doesn't cost you all that much. But I did put out the Fair County Chronicle back then, and put out like 12 issues, and the last issue had the Blood Kin in it, and then Zebra shut the doors, and so I thought, well, I might, everybody, Brian King was putting out his newsletter and several others, and I thought, well, it might be nice, to do, the Chronicle again as a digital newsletter. And so, I started out and people's responded to it. They love it. You know, I like to put a lot of pictures in there, and Substack don't like it sometimes because I'll get halfway through it and they say you don't have enough memory left to finish it, but then I kind of pare it down a little bit. But if you look at the newsletter that came out today, it's got a lot of pictures of the book launch and everything. So I started out with like 200 people. Now we're up near 1,000.
Ooh, nice
subscribers. Now, when we get to 1,000, I'm gonna pick two names out of my subscriber list, and one's gonna get a zebra, a very nice vintage copy of Zebra Fear, and another one's gonna get the yes.
That's my favorite.
We get
cover.
it. You have every book.
No, I don't. You know what? I don't know why Kevin says this doesn't do it justice. This is a creepy cover. And it's one of the best by Zebra. Fuck you, Kevin, if you're still listening to the show. If
He's
not,
I do like that cover. I've always liked that cover.
I too.
Yeah.
That's one of the best Zebra covers they did for me. So
it's not full of dumb skeletons, man.
You say, what was I thinking about?
What you were giving away at 1,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah, the other one is one of the rare, very last copies I've got of the Grammy Award nominated Dark Dixie audiobook.
How many authors can say that?
Which is on cassette, and I guess you can pick up a cassette player somewhere and listen to it. But it was really nicely done. It had some, like special effects, and there's one story where there's a demon in it, and the voice, they really distorted the voice where it put some shivers down your spine, and so that'll be going to somebody else. But hey, we got to get up to 1,000, or I'm not going to give it away. I'm biting at the bit to give it away. Come on, people. I'm stuck at like 893 or something like right now. So if you want that book, that audio book, let's get going.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Definitely subscribe to Fear County Chronicles. And speaking of, Ron was nice enough to design a logo for mine when I signed Noose with Darklit Press. Andrew highly suggested that I put together a newsletter, so I gave it a crack. It's been fun. I won't tell you what my subscriber count is because Ron's subscriber count would laugh at it, but it's kind of been cool. I've been using it to talk about what I'm working on at the moment, to shill out links for anything that I've got coming out, to throw out dead Headspace episodes that people might otherwise miss. And I've been having a lot of fun I've been adding a section at the end called writing tips, and, not necessarily, hey, I've been writing for 3 years, you should listen to me. But we've talked to a ton of extremely knowledgeable, talented people who have shared what has worked for them throughout their long and illustrious careers. And, one of the most, when I go on a podcast to promote my books and they want to talk about the podcast instead of my book, one of my favorite questions, one of the most common questions is, what have you learned from these people? So I've been trying to kind of distill that and put it into the newsletter.
That's
so
smart.
That would be brennanlafaro.substack.com.
Very,
Postcards from the Falls.
Very good newsletter. I always enjoy it when I ends up in my inbox. So
thank you, Ron.
Cool, man. It's very cool. So where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook as Ronald Kelly. On Twitter is Ronald Kelly 4. I don't know why I'm number 4, but I'll take it. On Instagram is Dixie Darkin, and you can go to my website, ronaldkelly.com. It's a little outdated. My son, he at school, he pulled up he's pulling up stuff on me on he Googled me. He pulled up stuff and he said, Daddy, you need to update your Wikipedia page. It's really outdated. So I'm going to have to do that, and I'm going to have to update my website. I am going to start an online store, Southern Fried Horror store.
That's so cool.
Selling my books and merch through that. Aaron Beauregard's going to help me set that up. He's done really well with his, and so we're gonna do that. I've been doing it, behind the scenes, private messages, which is great because I get to interact with people and everything. But it's gotten to the point where it's almost eating into my writing time because I'm selling so many books. So. I may have to hire me some help or something. Maybe pay the kids to help me pack some books. So,
Ron, you're kind of like Joe Lansdale sometimes with super short answers. And I mean, like some people, I guess would take that the wrong way, but I get it. You guys are both busy guys. It made me laugh. And I wanted to tell you this. I don't even know if I told Brennan, but Brennan, I'm going to mute you real quick. Yep, that's definitely you. Okay, we had an echo effect. All right, so I don't even think that I had told Brennan this because I just tell him everything, and I don't remember what I don't tell him. But when we recorded Joe's bit, which is why you saw my face, because I didn't realize it went from whoever's making a noise would cut to them. But anyways, that's supposed to be a 5-minute conversation that turned into an hour. And at one point, I brought you up and I said that I really don't understand how Ron's he doesn't have the fanfare that you do. Like, you both are excellent writers. And he said, it just comes down to luck sometimes. There's so many variables in life. And, Ron went this way, Joe went that way with their writing, and that's the how the cards fall sometimes. And yeah, that's crazy. And it kind of makes me, that's the one thing I'm very confident. Maybe I'm naive for this, man, but for all those listening that aren't aware, I'm editing my first anthology with Desert Press. Ron's in it, I'm in it, Brian's in it. A lot of other excellent writers. Joe Lansdale's in it. That's the one thing I'm nervous about. The reception, the sales. I can't control that. Nobody has a formula for it. I'm nervous about that. Really, I just came up, wanted to bring it up and remind people that anthology is coming up soon. I'm finishing the edits. I got a few more stories left. It's being formatted as we speak by Jared. Arc should be going out to people in, I don't know, I'll guess 3 or 4 weeks from now. So that'd be really, I can't wait for that. We're going to have a panel of contributors on, so Ron's probably going to be back.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah, I got on a tangent there. Did I cut you guys off, or can we go to final thoughts? Brennan, final thoughts, sir.
As always, we appreciate your time, Ron. You can come back anytime, and we know that you will. Frankly, I'm excited to read your story in that anthology so that we can have you back for that panel. I love Deadeye 1, and I love your Western stuff. So anytime I have an excuse to read that, I will read that. And anytime we have an excuse to have you on, we will have you on.
Yep. Well said. I'm going to save you for last, Ron. Normally we have the guests go first, but I just wanted to say I'm very thankful for the friendship. I think that's why I probably already said it, but a lot of things have happened today. It's been a very weird day with Peter Straub passing and some other stuff in my personal life. But I just kind of tear up at how powerful it is that someone as awesome as you is truly respected by their peers. And that makes me want to cry happy tears because I love you, buddy. So I can't believe I can call you friend. I've been saying that for like a year now. Still can't believe it. I can see you in person. and I can probably walk up to you and give you a hug, and you're not going to push me away. So that's awesome. Probably. There's a 50-50. Maybe. Ron, final thoughts.
I remember the first time I was on the show, I was scared to death. First podcast I've ever done. Didn't know you. Didn't know Brennan. We become buddies. I mean, we're brothers.
Yeah, I agree. We're family, man.
This is, I don't think this was by chance. I think it was, God. I think it was fate. I think it was. Very rarely does people make connections like this that last beyond like a show. I'm very proud of both of you. You've made great strides. Since I first met y'all. Brennan's published several books. You're doing this very wonderful anthology that I'm so looking forward to reading all the stories. You've got some great talent lined up.
And you guys know what else is to come, and I want to work with my friends every damn chance I get.
Yeah, well, you've got some wonderful ideas, and I certainly hope they come to fruition. And so I'm just glad we're all here at this place at this time. It's it's just very special what's going on. Between the three of us. Different points in our career. I just feel very blessed to know you and have met you. It's just been a very, I'm a lot older than you guys. I'm several years older than you guys, but I don't feel like that when I'm relating to you. So, we're buds and always will be.
Absolutely. We're only old by age and body. By spirit, we're all immature buttheads that love the same thing.
Those were some nice final thoughts, Ron. I really liked those. Thank you for sharing them.
Yeah, and you know what? Next episode is with Brennan. We're covering Noose. We're going to have Tyler Jones and Erica Robin on for that. It's a really cool book.
Yeah. I need to read it. I haven't read it yet.
I'll save my praise for you for next week, Brennan. But everybody, this a lot of weird stuff happened today. I still can't believe we lost Peter.
Yeah.
But please go, if you haven't, please go and read his book. Please go and read Ron's book. Normally I don't say please. It sounds like I'm begging. I don't give a shit. Please make time, because there's so many things that you can compete with, and it's not even other books. It's all forms of media, instant gratification. Books aren't instant. They are very long. They root in you. So if you want some good old-fashioned entertainment, go with Ron or Peter, amongst many other great authors. Ron and Brennan, I love you both to death, truly.
Love you, man.
And everyone, you have many choices in podcasts. Thank you for picking us.